I'm DJ Wheat, and we're here at LA Live in downtown Los Angeles. Only one quarterfinal matchup remains before two epic semifinal showdowns to determine who will play for the right to call themselves the Season 2 World Champions. Ladies and gentlemen, the final day of the Season 2 World Playoffs begins now.
They're very well played.
抓一，但是 Super 被换到一个。
This is insane. Too much damage is being dealt.
One more shot to go. The nest is full.
Welcome, Summoners, to the Season 2 League of Legends World Playoffs. Broadcast live from Los Angeles. Please welcome your casters, Jat and D-Man.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the beautiful, sunny Los Angeles. I am Lee D-Man Smith.
I'm Joshua Jat Leisman.
We are here, of course, for the World Playoffs. It is quarterfinals, the final match of the quarterfinals, and what fantastic matches we have today. Today it will be the semi-finals as well. We will find out who is going to make it to that grand final.
It's going to be really amazing. The big thing here is World Elite has yet to be seen in the previous 2 days of this tournament, and the signs are pretty great behind us.
The signs are pretty great. Of course, this is going across the globe. You know, we've had the 12 different teams from 12 different countries, 13 languages is being broadcasted. The numbers have been amazing all weekend, ladies and gentlemen. I want to congratulate you all for watching this. And anyone in Europe, you know, I'm from Europe, any of you guys have had the stamina to stay up throughout the whole event. I know I've had plenty of you guys tweeting me saying, man, we've watched the whole thing. It has been fantastic. Of course, we're going to be starting off. We had the best 12 teams. There is only 5 remaining. We've got little Flash Bananas flashing behind me. Joe Miller would be proud of that one. People are liking Joe Miller.
These guys are ready to cheer today. They're cheering roundup from the staff saying we're good to go. They're just crazy into it today. This is the best crowd we've had from all 3 days.
It is absolutely packed. As, you know, as far as I can see, you know, there's a big 40-foot advertising screen right in front of me across the Nokia Center, and I'm seeing Moscow 5 flashing across it right now. This is absolutely awesome. We've taken over the entire LA Live. Of course, we have one last quarterfinal match remaining, and then we have the 2 semifinals. And what fantastic stories we've had today, Jan.
So the big thing right off the start is that World Elite and CLG.eu actually played a show match about 14 days ago, and World Elite is a new team here, so it's a bit of a rematch of somewhat of a scrim. And man, so much is on the line for both of these teams.
Yeah, of course, there's 2 European teams remaining. There's 1 Korean team in there. There's 1 Chinese team. We saw obviously IG bow out. We saw Najin Sword bow out. 2 teams that were incredibly strong in the group stages. And of course, the Russians, they are really the #1 team. How are Taipei Assassins going to deal with them? That is going to be the second game of the day.
And this is really turning into a worldwide affair because so many of these countries have came here, and I mean, Azubu Frost could arguably be one of the favorites to win it. So TSM got knocked out by them yesterday. They were the last of the American teams to go. But other than that, it's just 1 team left from every nation. I mean, if CLG.eu and Moscow 5, one of them gets out.
I see where you're going with that one.
If it happens.
But of course, they are battling out for a place in that World Finals. That will be on October 13th, so just next Saturday, only a week away. And what fantastic games that could be. I mean, who is going to be there? Who knows? By the way, these teams are playing for $2 million.
A little bit of change there. And even top down from here, it's $250,000 for second place, $150,000 to make it into the top 4. So all these players going to walk away with somewhat life-altering money. It's going to allow them to practice, be big-time pro gamers, and it's really just great for esports.
Absolutely. Yesterday we saw 6 teams play their hearts out, of course, packed in front of a packed house here at LA Live. It's even more packed today. I don't know where you guys are all going to fit. But let's take a look at some of the highlights from yesterday.
The quarterfinal round kicked off with Moscow 5 showing off their skills for the first time outside of Europe, taking on Invictus Gaming, who were impressive in yesterday's group play. To the surprise of many, M5's Alex Each selected Evelyn, who hasn't been seen in competitive play for a long time. but Alex struggled in the laning phase, getting sniped early by ZZTai's Cassiopeia. At 16 minutes, M5's Diamond swiped Dragon, but the team was punished for it by Invictus in a 4-0 exchange, which gave the Chinese team a 6-2 kill lead. After several back-and-forth exchanges, M5 would wipe IG out, leading to a Baron. With that, they forced a surrender.
It's going to be GG anyway. Congratulations, M5!
Alex Each's gamble with Evelyn paid off in the end, and he finished with 9 kills and 8 assists.
So you guys made some interesting choices in champion picks.
We just pick broken heroes.
In Game 2, Invictus would start off strong once again, surprising Diamond and Darien with a counter-gank bottom lane, crafting a double kill for PDD and a 6-3 lead for Invictus. But M5 proved why they are one of the favorites to be world champions. Like the previous game, when the 20-minute mark hit, they shifted into high gear, tearing through all 5 members of Invictus for an ace, leading to another surrender.
Top 4 in the world officially.
With his Zillion play, Alex Each once again showed the power of unconventional picks. Match 2 featured Korean powerhouse Najin Sword, who dominated the group stage behind their superstar Mac Noon. But they were up against a team full of superstars from Southeast Asia: Stanley, Mistake, and perhaps most importantly, Toys. The Assassins jumped out to an early lead when Toys Oriana secured first blood against Song's Rise. Toys would continue to steamroll Najin Sword, using Shockwave to lock up priority targets while the rest of TPA finished them off. On the back of Toys, the Taipei Assassins pushed their way to victory and took a 1-0 lead in the series. Toys was flawless on Oriana, picking up 6 kills and 5 assists without dying once. For the first time in these World Championship playoffs, Najin Sword looked vulnerable. Would they be able to get back on track in a do-or-die Game 2? Not if Mistake had anything to say about it. The Assassin's support was dead on with his blitz hooks, pulling in as many players as he possibly could, even if they weren't the intended target.
Mistake was actually not trying to grab Maknoon, but was trying to grab their jungle. But somehow Maknoon was in the way every single time.
The Taipei Assassins couldn't be stopped. They shocked the world by knocking Najin Sword out of the World Championship. Mistake wasn't the only superstar in this game. Toys had another perfect run, picking up 7 kills and 5 assists. In the most anticipated match of the day, the best team from North America, Team Solo Mid, battled the best team from Korea, Azubu Frost. Azubu Frost started strong when a top lane gank drew first blood on Dyrus, but TSM responded with a 2-for-1 exchange in bottom lane. Azubu Frost used a long-range poke composition to wear down the TSM lineup. While TSM had a stronger teamfight comp, Frost rarely gave them the chance to fight, chunking down their health bars and pushing objectives relentlessly, allowing them to run away with Game 1.
Team Solo Mid will drop Game 1 to Azubu Frost at 40 minutes into the game.
Shy's top lane presence was unmistakable as he shut Dyrus down early and rolled to a 7-4-4 KDA in Game 1. Facing elimination, TSM came out swinging in the first 10 minutes, stealing a blue buff and taking first blood after a tense standoff at their own blue. But an explosive fight from Azubu Frost turned the tables as Woong refused to go down in a do-or-die duel against Chaox. While Xpecial's blitz hook was enough to save the odd one, it wasn't enough to save TSM's tournament life.
The ace is there. Freak, the Nexus turrets are going down. Cloud Templar is so tanky. They're trying to thwart out Team Solo Mid, trying to stop that path to the championship. And Azubu Frost will knock out Team Solo Mid.
Woong was unkillable in Frost's dismantling of TSM, picking up 5 kills and securing their spot in the semifinals.
Well, I think we can all agree there were absolutely fantastic matches yesterday. We are, of course, up for some fantastic matches today. They are going to be in store for you. We're starting off, of course, with the quarterfinals. So let's get over to the main stage with DJ Wheat and Rachel. They are standing by for the start of day 2. Day 3. Get the words right.
What's up, Summoners? Thank you, casters. I'm Marcus Graham, aka DJ Wheat.
And I'm Rachel Seltzer-Querico. The last 2 days have been some of the most amazing League of Legends play. And today, it's only going to get better as we kick things off with our last quarterfinal match.
That's right, our first matchup today features Europe's CLG.eu, who emerged from Group B. Give it up. They emerged from Group B, earning them the right to take on China's formidable top seed team, World Elite. Now, World Elite, one of the most well-known teams from China. They're anchored by an extraordinary AP carry, Messiah, and they have been tested internationally, competing in Korea, all over Southeast Asia, and also in North America.
Now for CLG.eu. They've competed across the world, most recently in a show match against World Elite, celebrating the 1-year anniversary of League of Legends in China. They have a global fan base that I'm sure is pulling for them to move on. Let's bring out the teams and get the day started for the World Playoffs.
All right, let's introduce these teams. They came out of Group A with a 2-1 record. Starting as the blue team from Europe, give it up for CLG.eu! Ladies and gentlemen, in the top lane, it's Wicked!
In the jungle, you know him, you love him, Snoopy!
At AP carry, give it up for Froggen!
And at AD carry, it's Yellow Pete!
One of the most important members of CLG.eu, give it up for Krapo!
And now, starting as the red team, they are the last hope for a Chinese League of Legends champion. Please welcome China's team, World Elite! At top lane, it's Calme!
In the jungle, give it up for Clear Love!
The AP carry, Messiah!
On AD carry, it's Weizhou!
And as support, it's FZZF.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last quarterfinal matchup. These guys look like they are ready to get this started. Let's shoot it over to our casters. Give it up for Jet and D-Man.
Thank you very much, DJ Wheat and Rachel. We are certainly on the ready to go, but Team Wheat are coming into this one, or Team WE, as we are going to refer to them from now on. That is the name we've been asked to call them. Team WE are coming into this one, day 3 of the tournament. It's their first game.
And yesterday we were worried a bit about the teams that had the bye from the group stage, whether or not they'd start slow. But really, aside from TSM, they all moved on. They showed that they deserved the bye. So it was the Taipei Assassins and World Elite are actually kind of been compared against each other a lot. The major international tournaments that World Elite has played have been against the Taipei Assassins. There's a tournament called Star Wars 7 where they had really epic 50 to 60 minute games, 2-1 for TPA, but World Elite has switched 2 members since then. They were the #1 team in China, and we saw how strong IG was yesterday. So if that's to compare, if World Elite is better than them, then CLG.eu has their work cut out for them.
Yeah, and of course both teams have completed across the stage. I mean, CLG have been traveling all across the world. We've been following them for the last few months. I guess since January they sort of formed together. They've all competed in the OGN, of course. Both of them, we know that CLG got there in the finals against the Zubu Frost. People are wondering, are we going to see a rematch of that? World Elite, of course, were knocked out by CLG in that quarterfinals match. So we know here we are in another quarterfinals match. Of course, Team WE came across to IPL San Francisco for the face-off. They did not perform as well as expected.
The American tournament for them really was a big disappointment, and I think that's why some teams were down on TPA or even the Singapore Sentinels type teams coming into this tournament. But really, it's been a long time since then. This is a much bigger event. There's much more preparation that goes into this. And we were talking with some of the Chinese managers. They really break down the game in some of these times. They will do statistical analysis of if Snoopy plays Maokai in 15 of 20 games, he'll gank top between 2 and 3 minutes or something like that. And it's just, their early game is really scary. They have recently switched out some players. Whether or not they've meshed is going to be really key.
Yeah, and of course, CLG.eu, we know they've competed across the globe. I remember being with them in the ECC Poland, and then they were flying back to Korea for the quarterfinals versus WE. Then they flew back to Gamescom for the EU regionals. Then they flew back for the semi-finals. They have been here, there, and everywhere. Between the finals, they went to see with Taipei Assassins. Then they came back and did the finals with for OGN against the Zubu Frost. They really are globetrotters. They have been in every single tournament you can think of across the globe. They were here, of course, here at MLG Anaheim. They didn't have a great show in there, which is why people were kind of surprised at how well they've done. So, I mean, we had the China anniversary show match as well. That was actually disrupted both teams' preparation really for this tournament. You know, CLG had to fly over to China. That's a long flight. They were there for 2 days and then they had to fly back. And this was at the start of October.
So we actually heard Snoopy talking about that earlier in the interview. They had some close games against them. World Elite did end up coming out on top, but there were technical difficulties. There were scrim setups. And they actually committed to those show matches before they knew the final date of when the World Playoffs would be. So they did get some disrupted practice time. I have to say, though, CLG.eu, they had the warm-up in the group stage. I think they've gotten their practice, and they should be feeling pretty confident, and hopefully it doesn't end up affecting them.
Yeah, and we can't take too much away from that show match as well, because Froggen played Mordekaiser, and he'd never played Mordekaiser before with CLG.eu. They were like, why did you pick that? I don't know. But earlier on, we luckily had a chance to sit down with both teams and hear what they had to say. So let's see what they're going to have to say about the upcoming match.
We've played them a couple times. They really like a lot of global strategies. And I think they're a relatively tough team to beat right now. Like, they've had some roster changes, and I think it's made them stronger overall.
我们现在还是会找队伍对练，然后第一天的话，我们会去观察对手的比赛吧，然后做一些记录。
Now it's anybody's game. Anybody can take it. The BO3 matches, a lot of maybe some luck involved. Maybe you have a bad day. Doesn't matter. You got to top 8, and now you just got to take it one game at a time.
Play standard, don't do anything unusual, and just play our game instead of playing their game.
If we stay calm and just play our own style, we're going to win the games.
我觉得需要每一个队员都发挥很好。
Yeah, they certainly do have to play very well in this tournament. So we've seen how CLG fought the way through the group stages. They went 2-1. They came up against a really strong Najin Sword that got knocked out yesterday by Taipei Assassins, something that CLG.eu themselves did not call. They thought Najin were going to take that one. They've practiced and played against both teams. But what are the keys to the game that CLG really got to take going into this one?
Really, CLG.eu, when they're at their best, they just play standard. Wicked wants Aurelia. Froggen, he's not going to get a Nivea, but he's going to get something close to it. Snoopy has his small set of junglers that he plays, and it's really CLG.eu, even Wicked said there, we just have to play our game. They don't need to react to what World Elite does. They just need to play their standard setup, and Snoopy in that needs to control the pace. When they struggle, it's because his ganks aren't working. It's because he's not, well, it's not even if his ganks aren't working, it's if he's trying to gank or if he's just letting his lanes play. Froggen loves the crowd right there, and it's just a matter of more playing their game and allowing Snoopy to run the show.
Yeah, and of course they've got to get the bottom lane rolling. We saw it against Najin Sword. Kane and Prey were very, very strong against CLG.eu. They struggled that one. Wei Zhao and FZZF, which from now on we're going to call him FZ. Snoopy stare, that's what we like. Serious. How long can he keep it up? That's the question.
He broke it off yesterday, but he's practiced much now.
That's
he's
intense.
A stallion with that look. So the last key is
Wicked
they have to
can't
get... Wicked cannot keep a straight face whatsoever, but they need to get their bot lane rolling here. So much is keyed off of Wicked in these past few games. Teams have been chain ganking him, keeping almost a 2v1 against him. Froggen handles himself with minion kills the whole time. It's about their bottom lane taking the key off, because World Elite is going to key off of Froggen. and they're going to key off of Wicked. Crepo and Yellow Pete got to get something going, especially because Wee Zhao of World Elite is renowned for his amazing AD carry ability.
So that's what CLG.eu have got to do. What have WE got to do? They have been a dominant force in the China Joy throughout there. They got here because they are the best team in China. They automatically qualified. What have they got to do to beat CLG.eu this time around?
World Elite was actually the first team of all the teams to qualify for the World Playoffs, but really, Chow Mei has to win top lane. And it's not even a matter of getting him camped. He kind of has to hold his own. Teams that have put 2 members up against him earlier on, it hasn't worked. He needs to be able to beat Wicked, and really the team needs to help everyone else. And Messiah has to slow down Froggen. We saw in the group stage, 300 minion kills by 22 minutes is not okay. Messiah has to do something to stop him from farming, whether that's taking his race, whether that's harassing Froggen down, or whether that's forcing him in other lanes. It has to do something.
Yeah, and of course they're going to prevent the stall. CLG renowned for dragging the game out. I know as good as anyone, my voice will get destroyed by CLG.eu if they drag it out.
It's what CLG.eu does when they see the smallest bit of advantage, or even when they're behind, they just take it late. They know how to grow it, and it's about finding ways to break that turtle because it's legendary in a lot of ways, and the only teams that have beaten CLG.eu are the ones that can end the games quickly. So that's what World Elite has to key off of.
So we've told you what we think. Tell us what you guys think at home. You can tweet us, you can ask us questions about what is going on today. #LOLWorlds is where you want to put that. And of course, at League of Legends, also going to be tweeting out to you guys throughout the day. We'll take some of the best questions later on and hopefully try and answer them for you. I'll more get Jat to answer them, Riley. You're more the expert on these things.
A couple of those questions. Please do send them in. And really, with this game, there is so much on the line for these teams. We saw an interview early with Snoopé. He was talking with, I think, Monte Cristo, and they may not have had the absolute best prep against World Elite because they were practicing against so many other teams. Really, this was a draw to get them up against World Elite. And it's hard to find information on these guys in a lot of ways. I was scouring the internet last night just trying to get everything on them, and they do keep quite secretive. They scrim, they don't let the results be seen, and they really could have anything open here.
Yeah, so we're just fixing a couple of lighting issues on the stage. Obviously, the sun. We are in an outdoor venue. These things happen, you know. We've seen it a few times today. We can't control the sun, unfortunately. We can control a lot of things, but the sun is definitely not one of them. In LA, it tends to shine quite heavily. But these teams, we talked to them earlier. We were having to chat with CLG while they were getting their hair done. By the way, they do go through hair and makeup, ladies and gentlemen. They look good for you guys on stage because they have to be prettied up. But they were saying, we were saying you're in a really good position. You have played every team remaining in this tournament. You have M5 CLG, we all know about that one. Taipei Assassins, they spent a week with Taipei Assassins over in Taipei. WE, they played in a show match. They played in the quarterfinals of OGN. Azubu Frost, well, we all know about that one, that best of 5 epicness that happened in Korea. It was a fantastic final, which really they probably feel they should have won. They feel they threw that game 3. In fact, I've spoken to them on Skype straight afterwards, and they were like, yeah, we know we threw that one.
And they even had the games against CLG.ENA when they were scrimming. They stayed in the CLG.ENA gaming house pretty much a couple weeks before the tournament, so they're adapted to the environment. They shouldn't be jet-lagged. That was their boot camp in a lot of ways. And it goes to fit CLG.EU style so well right now because they're not a team that tries to counterpick. They're a team that just plays their game. And the fact that they've had so much experience adapting their game to all of the region styles. They know what World Elite does with triple split push in a lot of ways. Sometimes they were even telling us earlier they have the exact timings of their jungler comes up and he doesn't come around from the back, he'll come around from the front if you do a 2v1 swap, and they'll try to take that first tower right at 4 minutes. It's kind of like what we saw TSM do in Game 2 against Azubu Blaze yesterday. And then they said, oh, and the counter for this is X and X. I don't want to give away their strategies, but they are ready for a lot of these situations, and it's really about they play their game all the time, and will they be able to pull it off?
Well, that's the question. It's really for WE to stop them. I mean, Messiah, if he gets Twisted Fate, it could be a dangerous, dangerous thing.
I don't think they're letting him get
If
Twisted Fate.
anyone has seen his Twisted Fate VODs, just while you sat there, just Google Messiah Twisted Fate. You will see a crazy
of course,
dive
Twisted
in
Fate and Anivia, the two first bans, not a surprise there.
Absolutely not surprised. Anivia, Alistair, and Aurelia banned out. That is a big thing because I know for a fact Wicked really wanted Aurelia. The only game this tournament they have lost was when Aurelia was banned. And in fact, these are the exact same bans that Najin Sword did against CLG.EU.
So WE, of course, had a chance to watch the group stage. They have done their scouting,
Oriana.
and it's about disrupting their game. Many people would have called that the WE bans would be Anivia for Froggen, Alistair for Snoopé, and Aurelia for Wicked because all they know is CLG will go for those picks all the time if they're available. They're getting rid of them right away.
Absolutely. So Ezreal has been picked and banned throughout the entire tournament. The
Every
only
single
champion
game.
every single game is either picked or banned. Doesn't have that good a win ratio either.
I think that's kind of what happens when both sides just always key off of Ezreal and he's universally accepted. It's just the fact, if you're in every game, you're only going to win about 50% of them, because if he's first picked, it could go either way. That Orianna is going to be so key for Messiah. Toys' Orianna yesterday was legendary. We wanted to see that, Leon. A couple people in the fans did from Crepo, but the Sona is the smart choice here because so many of the Asian teams have keyed off Sona, and he's just shown his strength throughout this tournament. These look like strong picks for CLG.eu.
Snoopy Cho'Gath, I think Iron Stylus might have a heart attack in a moment.
And there's
Leona
the
has
Leona.
been locked in for him. You see, of course, one of the designers and the artist behind that one. Very happy to see that one picked up there. But wow, very, very quick lock-ins. They knew what they wanted of WE here. So Blitzcrank Graves on the bottom lane.
And that's crazy because they are all out aggressive. You pull in Leona, sometimes that's dangerous. He could potentially turn it around on you, but they want to be able to start those team fights with the hooks. We saw even the Taipei Assassins pulling Mac Noon into fights. Those can change things if you get the right wards up, pull at the right time, and initiate team fights. But the counter initiation here from CLG.eu, so many of these tanks could get pulled out. You pull in a Cho'Gath, a Leona, or a Malphite, and you've just pulled in a problem. So
And if
he's
you pull
got to be real
Ezreal,
careful what he does. He's just going to arcane shift away.
Yeah, so that's definitely a problem for them. So they've obviously come in with this with a plan. Now, we've seen Wicked on Malphite quite a few times. What will the top lane for WE be against that? And more importantly, what is going to be this AP mid that Froggen is going to go with? Of course, it's going to be Karthus.
Smart pick there by CLG.eu. This is somewhat comfort. The only guy who may not be 100% comfy on the champion is Wicked's Malphite. He's so much more comfortable on Aurelia, and Olaf would be really beastly against Malphite. So much about Malphite is stacking armor, but Olaf comes in with a whole heap of true damage. So that's going to be a tricky lane for Wicked. He's going to need a lot of help from Snoopy.
So take us through these team comps right now. We can see, obviously, we've got the universal power of Karthus in there. You've got the Malphite ultimate. You've got Cho'Gath Disrupt. You've got Leona. There's a hell of a lot of crowd control from CLG. Whereas you look at World Elite, they've gone into this one. They've got the Orianna pull. They could technically put that ball onto Maokai. He could dive into the team. Twisted Advance straight in there and bang, ultimate straight away.
These are very beefy team comps really across the board. No one is actually that squishy outside of Ezreal, who can stay so far in the back. And this is something CLG.eu almost always does. They will pick very bruisery team comps. It's going to be a matchup of long, good team fights.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let them hear you on the crowd stage. They have, obviously, their headsets on. You can see them, the noise-cancelling headsets. But if you shout loud enough, they're going to hear you. If you want CLG.eu to take this game, give them a cheer.
For World Elite, if you guys want to see them come out strong, their first game of the tournament, let's hear you cheer. Ooh. They're a long ways from home.
Oh, they are a long, long way from home. They just had a little bit of a hitch in the Champions Select there, so they're going to remake the game. So, I mean, we can get to talk about this team comp a little bit more. I mean, so going into this one, who would you favor right now? Because we've talked to Wicked. We know he wanted Aurelia. He didn't get Aurelia. And that's literally, he was on stage. He says, all I want is Aurelia.
It's going to be tricky for them because so much of what they do is the tanky bruisery team comps, and oftentimes they will outlast the enemy because they will go squishier and they'll just be able to win just by sheer wearing the other team down. World Elite looks like they've really done their homework. The Aurelia ban, very important. So many teams have shied away from that because you've had to ban Aurelia against Wicked forever, and oftentimes they just say, well, he's picked up enough other champions because Aurelia's been banned so much. Then he starts playing Aurelia all the time, loses his practice with the other champions, and it's now a good ban again. But what World Elite's done with that really beefy team comp, Maokai, Blitz, Graves, Orianna, the shield on herself gives her all that armored magic resist. The fights aren't going to be CLG just bruising over them. They have to just outplay them in a lot of ways because I do give a slight team comp advantage to World Elite with their research and how much they may have thrown CLG off their standard play.
So I want you to put your live testing hat on right now. Why have we not seen Soraka at all throughout this? You can see the bananas poking up behind me. I want to see flash bananas.
It's interesting because so much of this has been adaptive, and Soraka used to be the queen of just keeping the passive lanes and letting people farm. But so much of this, as the bananas come flying out, is about aggressive lanes. There's so much lane swapping, and if you have a 2v1 with a Soraka, it's hard to get aggressive on that lane in a lot of situations, and she's not the best at just fast pushing and getting to towers. she's not as versatile as some of these other supports. She can't create kills, and so much aggression has come out in these bottom lanes lately. People have learned to work around the 20-second cooldown heal on Soraka, that it's very dangerous to pick now.
I would have just gone with the fact they've remade the character. It's now got a huge head, and it's easy to target. I don't know. That was just me. But we are, looks like, going to get underway in just a few moments. So, CLG.eu, they're coming into this one. They've already won against World Elite at the quarterfinals of OGN. They're going to have that confidence, that mentality factor. As a former pro player, how do you deal with that? The fact that you're coming into a game that you know you've already lost in a quarterfinal situation.
The great thing for World Elite here is they can chalk that out to the players they've replaced in a lot of ways.
Right.
Sometimes you can take it off yourselves. They've switched 2 new members, and it was very recently too. On August 25th, they picked up their new jungle Clear Love, and then on September 10th, they picked up FZZF. So those were
just
very recent changes, but they said they practice every day, so that could still be hundreds and hundreds of hours of practice time with their new members, and it's a matter of they are a different team now. They say they're a different team now. That 2-0 is in the back of their minds right now.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it does look like we are into the game. Hopefully the sun situation has been resolved. You know, we can't turn it down. We've got no dimmer switch for that sunlight. But as you can see, we are underway. If you've just tuned in and joined us, I know hundreds of thousands of you are watching at home right now. CLG.eu are in the blue side. WE are the red team. It is Europe versus China right now. Any sort of cliches you could throw at it, we will see whether any level 1 team fights go on. We've not seen too many crazy level 1 team fights, which I was surprised about. But CLG.eu, I know they want to have a team fight. Oh, and Weizhao's got to be very careful going around the side. And we get a pause straight away. They want to keep me feeling longer. That's what they want.
They've had so much talk about crazy level 1s early on in this tournament, and it hasn't paid off, as you said. The very first game, actually, between Najin Sword and IG was the craziest level 1 we saw. Jarvan put a flag over to the brush by the blue side red from the Dragon Pit. I hope I didn't... That was a bad description. But anyway, then they valked in over the top of it and used him as a human ward.
Azubu Frost.
It was his IG Azubu Frost, not Najin, you're right.
Right at the tournament, yeah.
And from there, it's been a lot of just standard posturing around. There's been some buff steals, but they just trade buffs a lot of times. You'll invade red, then they'll counter-invade the other red on the other side. And other than that, it's just so much can be thrown at level 1 and so much can be gained, but these teams, because there's so much on the line, and because one loss can mean you're out of the tournament in a lot of these situations, they have been playing a bit more passive, I think.
Yeah, and of course, we spoke to Crepo earlier, and he said, we now use Smite on red. Yeah, we don't allow a Gunwung to come in and steal it like he did in the OGN finals.
And that's something that had gotten CLG.eu in trouble earlier, is they had been too standard, and that incredible prep work from some of the Korean and Chinese teams had punished them very hard level 1. You can't just do a standard start with no spite pull anymore, because you'll come back to an empty jungle. If they know where you're starting, they're just going to take your other buff, and then they're going to go clear their buffs as fast as possible, just so there's nothing left to you. And from there, it's a large experience and gold disadvantage that you just fall back immediately in the game. And it's very, very difficult. They have to be aggressive at level 1. You can't just play passive, otherwise the other team will take advantage of you.
So there's a lot of you guys at home. You might be high elo players, you might be low elo players, I don't know. You could be terrible elo players. There's some depths of elo that I've never even thought existed, but they do. As a former player, how did you get involved in A, becoming a jungler, and then B, getting into Team Dignitas and becoming this pro player?
And you can see so much of what these guys do. They were, most of them, amazing solo queue players. But on top of that, you have to be amazing at communication, and you have to network. Don't be a jerk is one, because no one wants to play with them. And it's pick your champion, get up to the best rating, and then you grow your versatility. That's what most of these guys do. You look at down the CLG.eu roster, and you think, Wicked, he became known for his Aurelia. Froggen, he became known for his Anivia the whole time, and that was often before they were even on teams. That's what they keyed off of. I know Skara played Katarina. Reginald played Ezreal in Season 1. Everyone had their champion that they really just grew and networked in, and people became known for that, and they became infamous within the community. And from there, they were able to come and be teams, and we resolved the problem. Here we go into the game.
We are into the game, and I can see immediately that Weizhao is very, very close to being caught out here. The Rupture.
Oh, they got him with the Rupture!
Should be able to get first blood. Weizhao's going to try and get away from this one. The Ignite goes down. He does manage to escape it just about. So Ignite was used. That did manage to have to burn his flash, though. So Weizhao already in the bot lane has no flash.
That could be very big, especially with the aggressive lanes coming out. Crepo on Leona wants to kill early, as does the Blitzcrank. They have to be really cautious if they try to pull someone in, because Weizhao will be very vulnerable down there. After that engagement, though, that looks like their cards are spent. Will we see any more invades? I'm not thinking so.
They wanted to get that first blood down. Who used the Ignite? It was, of course, Wicked that used it, so he's not going to have it available in that top lane. That's not too big a deal. It's going to be probably up before he even gets a chance to even think about going for a 1v1 fight. Of course, that top lane is a potential place where Wheat will stack. But WE, I gotta stop calling them Wheat, that's for sure. Looking across the board, nothing fancy coming out. We did see someone yesterday with just full stack of oracles and a few health pots, no boots in all.
It's looking like we're going to see a 2v2 lane top, though, because Olaf is down, waiting to potentially take a blue buff. We've seen this out of a lot of teams. And here's a delayed invade. They're going to try to pull the blue like every other team has done. They're going to get this one. It's going to delay CLG's blue.
There's the blue. They do hook it through. Have they got the damage? And CLG are ready for this one. There's the rupture. It's going to hit straight across. Messiah goes down to Crepo. First blood. The exhaust goes down on Blitzcrank as well. They thought about following up. They're going to back away. Clearlove now has got a little bit too close. He could get the stun from Crepo. Instead, they're going to back away from on that one. First blood for CLG.
They were ready for that play. They knew the Blitzcrank was going to come, and they all converged, flashing over the wall, landing the Rupture in the exact spot they knew they had to pull the Golem with. And then they got as well. They're countering this up right away. They're trying to steal the red as well.
Oh, Clearlove's going to walk in. He gets ignited straight away. He has missed the Rupture, though. He is going to get to another hit. Yellow Beach should be able to get another shot on the back of him. It's going to force him away, and that's going to force Clearlove to back off. WE do not want to let this one go there. They are going to fight for this red buff. You can see they've pulled it around again there. It is FZZF. It's going to come back around. Crepo still hanging around here. Now we can see Froggen starting to make his way up here. So Karthus is going to join the party. It's going to be a 4-on-4 potentially around the jungle. Level 1 red buff. CLG said to us, they cannot give up these things. You cannot let yourself be bullied at level 1. We must fight for everything we get in that jungle. FZZF, he wants to hook someone in here, but really I'm not too sure what target he wants to go for. Which one of those would you want? He's going to go the red buff instead.
He's just keeping it leashed so it doesn't get high in health. Snoopy's smite is coming up soon. When they'll get that, they'll be able to take it. You can see Orianna and Graves are off farming lanes. They're pretty much conceding this, and they're going to get the buff steal. It's just going to take them time and maybe cost them experience.
And the red smite was used there, and immediately we're going to see Snoopy head up towards that top lane. Crowd appreciating some clearly hard-fought play there from CLG.
Oh, and they're going to try to get the Rupture down onto Weeze out. They just misses it.
Just misses
Good dodge.
out of it. Yeah, dodged out of it. Dash through. So, the lanes start to reset themselves, and as you mentioned, it is going to be a 2v2 top lane. Froggen versus Messiah in that mid lane, and well, Orianna versus Karthus. Take us through that one to start with. We said that Messiah has to stop Froggen farming. How do you stop Karthus farming?
The great thing about Orianna is the auto attack harass, and the Q to W is actually very, very great. We saw Toys dominate with it yesterday, and Froggen's somewhat immobile. He does have to be careful against Orianna because the burst damage and the poke combined with Orianna makes it a very difficult lane for Froggen. You can see he's already ran himself out of mana here. He's getting as many minions as possible, but it's actually not an easy matchup for him. That 300 minions by 22 minutes is very unlikely to be replicated in this matchup.
Okay, so the two bruisers currently down that bottom lane. It is going to be Chaume versus Wicked. How would you rate this one? We said Olaf, you know, with the blue buff, you might note, he picked that up off the back of that one against Wicked, who obviously, as it stands, does not have any buffs, does not have anything. He has got his Ignite back available. He used it right in the very first fight. But Chaume is definitely going to have a big advantage here.
The axe spam with the blue buff is very devastating, and Wicked does have to be a little bit careful. He shoved up the lane very early, and the minion damage early on in the game is quite strong, so he wasn't able to actually trade back and forth. He withstood the blue buff. That was good play by Wicked in that lane. Overall, it should be Olaf trying to bully Wicked a little bit, and Wicked's going to have to win with gank support or with ganking other lanes, because straight up, Olaf does beat him with the true damage. And Snoopy's camping mid lane here.
He is camping mid lane. He's going to see if he can get on towards Messiah. We said Messiah needs to be dealt with, and Snoopy's going to come around. Wall of Pain, did it quite catch? I'm not sure if it did. Rupture's just about missing, and Messiah will walk away from that one. No problems at all. I can tell you the jungler has already fallen behind. Snoopy needs to be careful. He had a good advantage on that farm. That red buff at the start. Clearlove is definitely fell behind. He's still that level behind. He's going to struggle for the first few levels for that experience. You can see he's just taking golems on that top lane at the moment. But here in this mid lane is definitely where it's going to be. The CS between the two is 32-31.
And that's the matchup with Messiah. He is legendary for being the best mid laner in China. Everyone actually talks about how fast he clicks. Sometimes they say it's useless, but if you just watch him, sometimes he'll wiggle back and forth because he's clicking so fast, actions per minute, if you're trying to keep it up. A lot of people say it's useless, but he does it to get the absolute right position on every creep. And there's a lot of posturing going around up here. They're trying to shut Clearlove down even more. They stole his raids. It was a disaster early on for Maokai here because they gave the blue buff to their own Olaf, and outside from that, he hasn't cleared any of the big runes and he's really struggling experience-wise. Level 2 at 6 minutes.
Yeah, those bot lane exchanges between Xiaomei and Wicked are definitely starting to prove a little bit devastating. There's a hook there on Crepo. I'm not sure if that was the one they wanted. Just popped his shield out of lane. He hooks him straight in. You know, he could just turn around and stun Wei Zhao, and Yellow Pete was free to do the damage. Crepo is quite happy to eat the hooks there.
And Wei Zhao now has his flash up, so they've gotten through that period where they had to be quite careful. And you look in that top lane, how are they doing? 39 to 31 minion kill wise. No one's went back to shop, and Wei Zhao only has the 1 level advantage. They are slightly stronger. When you pull someone into Graves, it allows that extended damage from Buckshot, and they have to be very careful. Yellow Pete needs to be able to arcane shift through those hooks.
Lane.
There's a potential 3v3 brewing up here.
Tribo straight away, Snoopy walks straight in, puts the rupture down. They realize his position though. Oh, and he dodges out the hook there. Wei Zhao takes a shot in the back there, mystic shot from Yellow Pete. But great little bit of juking.
It was an expert escape by Snoopy there. He put the rupture down on himself. It didn't grant vision until it popped up, so FCZF got the knockup, he got far enough away and then juked the hook. So really, if he didn't do all of those things just right, Snoopy would be dead right now.
I'm interested to see how this mid lane's going to work out. I think we're on for record numbers here between these two. 54-54 CS. They've both just backed off. Wei Zhao currently in that top lane as well, 49 to 38. Has that advantage over Yellow Pete currently, 10 CS. So starting to slowly build that advantage. That's all about having to dodge FC, his grabs, his hooks, trying to disrupt as much as possible. The junglers really have not been involved too much. You saw Snoopy going for a few little ganks in that mid lane. He's just going to play some wards in the mid. But Wicked and Xiaomei left very much on their own devices, just as we said in the keys to the game.
And one of the things with both junglers falling behind or not seeming to have that much action, when you do, oh, nice rupture by Snoopy, trying to just disrupt Messiah from going back. But the junglers early on like that, when you counter invade, you shut one guy down farther, but you shut yourself down too because the efficiency is gone in the jungle. Snoopy has spent so much time roaming around, so much time waiting around that red buff, that he just fell a bit off the pace, and he's only level 4 at 8 minutes, so really, both junglers are hurt from this, and it's allowing the lanes to really just have straight-up matchups.
Straight-up matchups indeed. That bottom lane is definitely going to be a farming session, and currently Ilaf is winning out, so Xiaomei definitely out farming, and Wicked is actually pretty low, and he's in a dangerous situation where Xiaomei may be able to have a little bit of help from Maokai and dive on him. Currently the blue buff has just been exchanged, Messiah's picking that one up, but Wicked down this bottom here, a couple of axes coming across him will definitely work him down. Obviously he has that passive, he did manage to dodge out of the way of it, but that's what I'm talking about. Xiaomei just putting that true damage down on him, the axe going across, he is incredibly low down the bottom there. They have grabbed Crepo though, they're going to put the ultimate across FCTF, they have got the exhaust on, he should be able to get away from it. Wicked meanwhile has gone down that bottom lane, Carter's ultimate is not going to land in a full length ultimate grab. What a fantastic grab there, and Wei Zhao picks up the kill. Xiaomei will go down in that bottom lane. It's a 2-for-2 exchange now, and wow, what a crazy fight. We missed the Wicked exchange actually. I think it was Snoopy that kind of baited him in there, did obviously pop his ultimate. We maybe get a look at that one, but wow, what a full length grab.
Froggen also coming in with that ultimate, helping out both lanes. Without his ult, neither of those lanes would have got either of those kills, so it was very key that he didn't get that disrupted by Messiah. WE actually coming out a bit ahead in these lanes. They gave up the first blood, but they've now pulled up a 500 gold advantage. So much of that comes from bottom lane. Xiaomei, double gold per 10 items, and just 20 minion kills ahead of Wicked, and he's granted the kill. That's where WE is getting their advantage from right now, and they need to support Wicked here. Xiaomei has done so much to beat Wicked here, because in the previous matches, Wicked's really been 2v1ing, and right now he's getting 1v1 by Xiaomei.
You talk about that advantage, but Wei Zhao, you know, he's ahead in farm, he's 78 CS to 57, 20 CS ahead, and a kill on top, which obviously gives him a huge gold difference. He's sitting on 2,600 gold in lane, just gone back to buy. Let's see what it picks up. He's gone straight for a BF sword. He has got a Dawn's Blade in there for that little bit of extra health, but very early on the BF sword.
They're going for the early aggression there. That's just saying you don't need to sustain.
Oh,
He's not worried about harass. And if they get a pull, he's going to follow it up. They're just taking that blue. They can't get there.
He can't get the range there. On towards that blue buff. Wanted to pull it back. So 10 minutes gone into this one. Xiaomei working over that bottom turret. Messiah stealing away the wraiths. As it stands, WE definitely pulled themselves back into this one and winning out the lanes.
And what CLG.eu needs to do right now to get back on this is kill out Clearlove. Clearlove's went for that naked oracles, which means he's gotten it before any gold per 10 items. He doesn't even have upgraded boots. If he is able to go around and clear out CLG.eu's wards without getting items beforehand, it's going to be disastrous. FCZF trying to camp up against Wicked. These lanes have now swapped to 1v2s because it wasn't working out for Wicked. And WE seems to be content with just pushing up this top tower. it's going to be interesting to see if we can get himself back in the game a little bit from here.
Yes, it's interesting to see. We've got to 11 minutes. They have decided to switch it up. Does that mean they're going to go for a Dragon maybe? I can see Wicked actually heading down towards the mid lane at the moment. So will they maybe try and position themselves? I can see Crepo and Snoopy also starting to close that gap. Are we going to see an early Dragon from
Looks
CLG?
like
Definitely going to be an interesting setup. Looks like WE not really in a position to deal with this one because you can still see the top lanes are starting to head down. There's Orianna putting that distance down, trying to slow things down, but they are aware that CLG going for it. Meanwhile, down that bottom, I can see Crepo is actually, Yellow Pete having a little bit of problems with Chow Mei. He can't get up to that Dragon, but it is going to get taken by CLG, and WE are going to give this one up.
Yeah, they had the 2 members top lane, and Wicked spent the entire time running down. When they did that lane swap, WE didn't react. Smart play there, CLG pulling themselves even in gold. The counter here will be for WE to push that top turret. If they get this down, it's actually going to be in the advantage of CLG.eu. It looks like that Ezreal is going to come up top and clear out those creeps. They won't be able to get this tower.
No, I didn't quite clear them down. It's definitely taken them low, and low enough to save the turret. Time for Wicked to get back in lane. Clear love with that Oracle, like you said early on. 12 minutes gone in this game. First Dragon down. CLG.eu with pretty much an identical goal difference, which shows you how much WE have out-farming it, because that would have given 1k across the entire team. It shows that goal difference in terms of farming in the lane. 122 CS to 108, 105 to 81. Definitely big goal differences, and really it's hitting the right people as well. 3,800 gold to 3,200 gold. That is Wei Zhao versus Yellow Pete.
And on top of that, they've had to come back from the first blood disadvantage, so actually WE outplaying CLG.eu since that first blood fairly vastly. Snoopy trying to get in on clear life. He does have a pretty big advantage on him here, but he does have to be careful. He can get collapsed on.
He does. We forced the flash from clear life. Meanwhile, we've got the hook up the top there. Wicked does have to flash away from it himself, though. We do have the rest of the bottom lane closing in on that blue buff, which has been taken by Froggen. And that is a nice bit of play. So CLG.eu starting to try and close out the resources early instead, and really force the play actually on WE, which is something I was not expecting. I would have thought WE would be the one that's pushing the place. As it is CLG, you can see Crepo sat there. Is he going to try and go for Chow Mei, try and force that ulti? FZZF, though, coming around the backside of Wicked. That tower very low. He's got a creep wave here. They could just push the tower down. They don't need to go for Wicked there, and Wei Zhao has obviously called it off here.
And this is something CLG.eu is trying to do to adapt. They actually realized that they were getting out-farmed by WE, which is something that almost never happens to them, which is why you've seen them change around their playstyle. They knew if they just stood and farmed the lanes, WE would overtake them. So they started going around forcing objectives, and they could not quite steal that blue buff from Messiah.
Yeah, Ezreal trying to put the ultimate across there. Yellow Pete didn't quite get it. And that will be Messiah with the blue buff, which is going to cause a few problems for Froggen in that mid lane. Looks like that top turret will be the first to go down. And there it is, WE taking the first turret of the game. Yellow Pete now has been left to free farm down that bottom, actually, while Olaf has gone back. A round of applause for WE taking that first tower of the game, giving them that 1k gold difference. And as it is, 99 CS to 66. That is Wicked versus Chow Mei. Chow Mei definitely with that big advantage in that bottom lane. All about the blue buff early on.
And even look, mid lane, Messiah is out minion killing Froggen by almost 20.
But
every single lane is beating them.
The gold is actually close though, because he's got those 2 assists. If you look at it, 4,500 to 4,700, it's still very much close between those two, purely based off those 2 assists from that obviously global ultimate you get from Froggen.
I'm very, very impressed overall though with WE's ability to farm here, because no one out-farms CLG.eu in almost any circumstances, and the fact that they're essentially right now beating CLG.eu at their own game, which is just farming pressure. Clearlove hasn't been anywhere for ganks. Every lane is just bullying, and it's overall pressure. It's kind of handcuffing CLG.eu here. There's a pull!
Crepo's getting hooked in there, but he's going to have enough to get out of this one. Just the lateral damage goes across. He's the Ignite. The Ignite will take him down. Wei Zhao drops. Yellow Pete's got to be careful now, because that hook will be back up in a few moments. You can get the power fist on him, and you can just get that arcane shifts away from the bookshot there. But we do see Orianna, Clearlove, and Messiah heading down. Yellow Pete's got to be careful. He's got Snoopy coming to try and protect him, but I'm not sure they're in a position to be able to protect against a 4v2. Snoopy now realizes he is in desperate trouble. Yellow Pete backs out of it. Snoopy should be able to back off, and he will indeed back away, and that is going to be the bottom turret gone. FZZF does pick that one up. It's 2-0 World Elite for those turrets.
Something about World Elite's style is they were actually the first team to kind of revolutionize the split push strategy, which later Azubu Blaze showed to North America at that MLG Summer Arena. And they're more likely to just take turrets when they send 4 down than to try an aggressive dive, because they know the map control can be snowballed better than a singular kill. And we saw that there. They would have had an opportunity to try and kill Snoopy, but they realized the greater advantage was to just take that turret. Now 2 turrets to 0 and a fairly large advantage.
So we have a bloodthirst to come out by now. Wei Zhao 2-0. Definitely ahead. 143 CS to 104. That is a big, big chunk of change difference between those two. 174 to 156 for the mid lane. As you can see, the gold difference proving it is a 1,500 gold difference currently for Wei Zhao to Yellow Pete. That is a big difference. We're going to have to see Yellow Pete disappearing off to those lanes on his own. They're going to try and fight for this red buff. They're not in the right position though. There's a ward right there. Krepo is going to certainly get caught out here. He is going to pop his ultimate. He was ready for it. The Ezreal ultimate comes across. There's the Cardinals ultimate. Can they catch out ZF? They will. His mana shield's on though. He should be able to get away from this one. Krepo wants to land the stun. We can see the wall of pain coming down from Froggen. Froggen's going to get a couple of layways. He's going to be able to back away. He's flashed out of it. Can he get close enough? No, the dissonance slows down Froggen, and they do get away from it. There's the Orianna ultimate. Pull CLG back. Yellow Pete's trying to drive on Messiah. He is going to be able to back off to his turret. Very well played by WE.
And Wicked was going to try to pick off Blitzcrank over the wall, but he actually missed his ultimate. You can see it's just on cooldown. It fizzled into the wall, and that would have been a pickup they needed. But overall, a fantastic escape by FCZF, supported very well by Messiah, and that's his Orianna. They have to be very careful now. With that Athene's Unholy Grail, he's going to be getting most likely a death cap as his next item. They've done nothing to slow him down right now. He's really just taking it to CLG.
Absolutely, we are seeing Yellow Pete, like I mentioned, going to have to disappear off on the lanes and just farm it out. So this is the time that WE want to start pushing the pace on CLG because they just are not winning out the fights. They want to pick up anything. That could have turned things. If they would have caught out that Blitzcrank, then Messiah would have definitely turned things in CLG's favor. As it is, WE with a strong advantage. Dragon has just spawned and immediately WE on top of this one, so they know the timing. Despite the fact they didn't pick it up, they are right there the second it spawned.
Luckily, they had a ward on it the first time CLG.eu took the Dragon, so they're just taking clearly here, and they have a big enough advantage here. They know Yellow Pete wants to disappear into these lanes, so they're just not letting him. They did the red invade, which CLG was able to counteract, but just the overall objective taking, they're not allowing CLG to do what they want. Instead, they're dictating to them.
So that wall of pain hitting Xiao Mei forces him back. You can see that CZF, he wanted to get a hook on someone and open things up, and that's what CLG got to be careful of. They don't get any blind hooks through these walls. FCZF, we saw some fantastic hooks yesterday by Taipei Assassins, despite the fact they were pulling McNoon. They didn't want McNoon. They were after the jungler, but they kept getting McNoon regardless. It worked out for them nevertheless. Blitzcrank is interesting to see how he's come back into this one. We saw Curse using it quite often. Elements obviously was rocking Blitzcrank quite heavily in the North American regionals, but we haven't seen too many teams using it outside of Taipei Assassins that were pulling it yesterday, but it seems to work out very well. It's one of those champions, if you do hook a winner, you will definitely win out the team fight.
And now we still see CLG grouping up in the mid lane, and World Elite is kind of flanking around them a bit. They might look to force if CLG gets too cocky here. It could be Blitzcrank pulling them in, or it could just be CLG overcommitting, but that is not CLG style. If we see Wicked kind of ult in and try to create a team fight out of almost nothing, that would really be a sign that CLG is pulling for something, because we almost always see them counter-initiate and wait for the other team to come to them. It's kind of why they're sitting in mid here. They're waiting for WE to make a move, but they're not taking the bait. You can see Olaf's went up to push mid. CLG is just sticking around. Both of these teams want to be initiated on.
Yeah, they're pushing that tower. Wall of Pain goes down to force them back. There's the rupture. They're going to continue. Yellow Pete managing to put the damage on there. Mystic shot. There's the hook. It's Wicked they pulled in, not the one. He did have to flash out of it, though. He was a little bit worried. He's not tanky enough to take the full-on damage there, Wicked. So he did have to burn a flash, which means he will not be able to do any of those crazy flash ultimates you sometimes see from Malphite. And CLG back off a little bit from this one, but they are continuing to push this mid turret.
They are just sitting here, and WE does see a lot of creep waves crunching up. It's a very interesting strategy here by CLG. They are poking away at that tower, and WE still not able to initiate on them. It's kind of odd since they are ahead.
The hook comes out there. I think I just saw collateral damage. Did Wei Zhao just use his ultimate?
Yeah, he did use his ultimate to try to clear the creep wave.
Try and burst them back. Wei Zhao going down to that bottom lane. He's got to deal with it because that bottom turret, has been pushed heavily. And again, CLG still continuing to be grouped up. So CLG definitely changing their level of play here a little bit. They're not going to stick to those farming lanes. They are insisting on getting this turret. They should get it this time around though.
And that was just, there's the initiate!
And Wicked's dived in there, FCZF gets dropped straight away. The Orianna ultimate pulls Krepo in there. Xiao Mei's going to try and get up to Krepo. Finally, they take the turret down. They're a little slow on that one. Krepo's gone down, Wicked has gone down, Froggen is going to drop. He's got his disruption slowly in there. Has got his ultimate available, but there's not enough damage across. Clearlove has gone down. That's an Oracle down as well on Clearlove. That has definitely worked in their favor. It's a 3-for-3 exchange, 3-for-2 exchange, sorry. And that looks like Wei Zhao Wei's going to take this turret down off the back of that one. So Team WE, despite the fact they got initiated on, are going to come out on top. If they can take this inner turret, that is disastrous for CLG.
And that's actually what WE wanted. That's why they were around split pushing the lanes. They're just worried about overall advantage, and they're turning around CLG's strategy on themselves.
Wow.
2 turrets out of that fight. It was a 3-for-2. That makes up for the Oracle loss, and that is a win for WE. CLG really pushing here because they are getting down and they're not sure how to get back in it.
Well, this is the aggression you see often from Moscow 5. When they take that advantage, they will just drive it home on you, and taking 2 turrets and a blue buff off the back of a straight up fight from a 3-on-2 is disastrous for CLG. So now they're going to have to hit turtle mode. We've been and done it before. We're going to have a replay, ladies and gentlemen, with the player audio.
I'm gonna go. Back out.
Marker!
I'm low. Get tower. Run.
I got Maokai.
I have flash
Back out, but I got Maokai.
Good job. That's Oracle. That's Oracle.
We got Oracle.
3-for-2.
So Froggen saying there, you know, back out, but I got Maokai. They knew they'd managed to finish him off, but well, the call straight away was back out. Wicked went in.
You could hear some miscommunication there. Oh, WE trying to get initiation. They're going to get Froggen.
They're going to go for Froggen. The Orianna ultimate missing there, and FZZF also. Froggen is going to go down. Has he got enough to go and follow it off? Obviously his ultimate's not available. Big, long global cooldown on that now, and that is going to be a problem. And that is 7-4.
Oh, wow, they're going for a Baron right now.
They are going for a Baron. They've already started the Baron. Xiaomei already in there, tanking it up. He could definitely take a lot of damage on this one. How are CLG going to react to this one? There's the ultimate coming across far too early. They've got not a lot of vision, if any at all, of the Baron pit, so they realize
they have to back out of this.
One out. They are going to back out, and there is Snoopy. He's going to come around. They're going to try and pick up an advantage. Wicked is just below. Yeah, they're going to back straight off from this one. They did manage to force him off that Baron, though.
That was a very interesting choice by W. They might have been trying to sneak a Baron, and that's going to allow CLG.eu to push mid. Everyone got very low off that Baron. They had to fall back because they knew if they stayed, Wicked was going to ult in and basically clean them up. Will they be able to get mid in time? Yes, CLG is backing out.
Dragon's up in 30 seconds. They're going to back off, and they're not going to go for it.
Looks like WE will be able to take that Dragon if CLG does back out. And just going back to that replay we had, there was the miscommunication by CLG. Snoopy really wanted to kill the tower. The idea, I think, was to finish the tower and then initiate with the Yolona Malphite, but it was a hair too early. They needed a hit or two more on the tower before that initiation happened, and so much of that damage came down onto them, making the 3-for-2 turnaround and making them push back. That could have been a lot better for CLG. And now it's actually WE continuing to sweep around Baron because they really want to be able to get that objective and then push it home.
FCZF needs to be careful when he's sweeping around Baron Pit. The ultimate obviously will pull aggro. And as it is, Dragon has spawned, and we are going to see a potential first Dragon fight, the real Dragon fight. A full-on 5v5 without any towers. Distance goes down on Snoopy, dropping his health really to a level he didn't want to go down to. Hasn't got too many stacks at the moment on his feast either, so you can see he's not full size. Wall of Pain's gone down just above at the top of the screen. It is Xiaomei they've caught. They're going to try and shred as much hit points off as they can, taking him down to half health. That's going to help them out when we come into a team fight. Of course, Olaf will get stronger with the lower hit points, so it's like a hit or miss. Pink ward being put down to clear out the ward damage. They want to get this Dragon. This is very much a forceful Dragon fight from CLG.eu. They must feel that they can take this one, pull the Dragon out, and fight off WE.
And they're down in gold, but still forcing engagements. Here they come. They're going again for Wei.
Well, Crepo using his ultimate there on Wei Zhao, but they backed out. They will be able to pick up the Dragon off the back of this one. Can they turn anything? Will WE try and catch them on the way out? FCZF definitely causing himself a problem in there. And they are going to have to back off this one. The gold difference now, just 4,000 gold between the teams. That's not a great deal as it is, but well, if WE can turn this into a push, CLG completely out of position. They've been forced to follow down that bottom lane. WE looking like they might try and close them off here. We've got Orianna just across the side. We'll have their ultimate really just blocking them off. They're not forcing them back here. They're going to go for an engage. They're going to go straight in there. It's Wicked actually is caught in the middle of it. Hasn't managed to pop his ultimate. Now he gets the ultimate. Yes, the ultimate gets across. CLG taken down very low. Froggen's going to try and get in. He could potentially pick up multi-kills here. He's got Requiem available. He's going to pop Requiem surely. He will take down CLG. He will not get Wei Zhao though. Wei Zhao's got to be careful. He doesn't get engaged on the back of that one, but Oriana is causing all sorts of problems. Messiah in there. Yellow Pete taken incredibly low, but they really want to take this turret down. Snoopy's going to have his work cut out, stopping these three members, taking the first inhibitor turret, and WE off the back of a dragon turn that into an inhibitor kill. Very, very nice.
And WE is coming out of these fights ahead and then pushing afterwards. They're fighting in the right spots and getting CLG low enough to counteract these things. It's strange because CLG is actually out-poking World Elite in a lot of these situations, which is why WE is giving them the objectives like that tower and like the dragon. But then afterwards, CLG is fighting them, which is where they're losing because the gold advantage is in the favor of WE, and the Oriana is so potent in these team fights. He's really outdoing Froggen in a lot of ways, always up near the end of the fights, always channeling those ultimates. And even now, CLG trying to push in, they just can't seem to get at Messiah.
They can't get hold of him. He's definitely slippery. Messiah 115, building the exact same we've seen all the Asian teams build so far, going for that Athene's Unholy Grail straight away, then the Death Cap with the Sorcerer's Shoe. And actually yesterday we saw Azubu Frost, we saw him have Merc Treads early on, sell out the Merc Treads and switch to Sorcerer's Shoes.
That was initially to stop Froggen from putting the wall in with gank follow-ups, but Messiah didn't even do that strategy, yet still only died with that very first blood. So he's done a fantastic job laning against Froggen this entire game, because you see we're at the 27-minute mark, and Froggen's only at 218 minions, so a substantial drop-off from the last time he's done the mid lane Karthus. Messiah definitely slowing down Froggen, and that's been very key for WE.
Let's not forget, we have seen CLG.eu come back from a huge deficit, 27,000 gold against Moscow 5. However, they had they had Anivia. They could stall out the play as long as possible. That ultimate catching across most of WE, but really not doing a great deal of damage currently. He has only got that Trinity Force on there at the moment. Has picked up the pick, wants to probably go for Last Whisper possibly off the back of that one. CLG.eu really aware of the fact that WE trying to set up for this Baron. They're going to try and steal out the blue buff. The positioning, clear up again, dodging this rupture, and they are going to turn this instead and push the top tower.
And that ultimate by Ezreal was actually because they had no vision on the Baron. They were worried that they were going to push it down, and really WE dictating heavily to CLG right now. They need to clear out a few more wards, then they can really start forcing the Baron, because CLG will have to go in and check it. The wards, look at all the wards that WE has in this area. This is what we saw from TPA when they played Blitzcrank. They put a sea of wards around the area, hoping that when CLG comes to scout, they can get a pull on a priority target over wall. There's that one ward they still need to clear out, which they're getting right now, and from here, CLG's in a big amount of trouble. They have to initiate a perfect team fight, but it's so difficult since they don't have vision, and World Elite can see everything.
Yeah, and it's everything for Malphite. Wicked really wants to land that perfect ultimate. He's been trying to get it, and they have just positioned themselves so well. He landed a really good ultimate in the last fight, but unfortunately they didn't have the damage to back it up. Again, they're just catching their position.
This is the pull they need.
They're going to get a grab. Oh, that would have been Crepe they tried to go for. The rupture managed to land. They have a little bit of a blind vision around the side there. Are they going to try and fight them in the jungle? I'm not sure that's the ideal position. That Oriana ultimate could be deadly in the position they're in right now. And you can see FCZF, he's just like, yeah, go on, pull me. I'm initiate on me, do whatever you want. I have this mana shield and I am tanky, and I'm just going to allow all the damage in the background. He's effectively a tank. He's not just a support, he's a tank in there. Messiah using that speed up, CLG for that little bit of a merry dance have managed to get themselves a clear lane.
And honestly, WE is displaying a level of patience that really is only rivaled by CLG.eu in these late game fights. Even though they have a 5,000 gold advantage and seemingly entire map control, they're not brute forcing any of these fights. They're not just trying to run in. They're waiting until they get an extremely advantageous one. They will only want to start a fight on a blitz pull, or if CLG.eu expends cooldowns to get into them. They're not going to grant a free team fight for CLG. They're going to make them work for it. And the longer it goes, the higher the chance that they get a pick with that blitz hook and win a team fight 4v5.
Yeah, the goal difference there, you can see really where it's stacking out. And Wei Zhao with a 2,000 gold advantage over Yellow Pete at the moment. That's a big difference for your two AD carries. That is a major item, and you can see he's got that Bloodthirster, Phantom Dancer, and Quicksilver Sash compared to just that Trinity Force for Yellow Pete. Definitely falling behind. And could we say Ezreal's stats again just collapse in? Oh, are they going to try and collapse in here? If we we could just get the camera up a little bit more, we might be able to see the action. It is Frog, and he got hooked in, he got destroyed. There's the Malfoy ultimate. They do get the ultimate across the entire of Crepo. Froggen should be able to pick up 1 kill off the back of this one. Weezhao taking incredibly low. Yellow Pete trying to collapse onto him. Now he's got Chow Mei diving on. Clear up as well. They're collapsing on Yellow Pete. Yellow Pete's going to get dropped. He cannot pick up any kills off the back of that. He was just manhandled throughout that. Snoopy wants to finish him off. They can't get anything from it. And after a perfect Malfoy ultimate there, in amongst Froggen's, I cannot believe Weezhao came on top of that one. They just closed down. Yellow Pete tried desperately to get onto Weezhao, but they just couldn't do the damage. He just dashed away and said, right, clear love, defend me.
Such a close fight there. Pulling in Froggen could have been disastrous because he was sitting in them with the file, spamming the wall, spamming the Qs, and it was just a matter of everyone on WE pulling back at just the right moment. By the end of that fight, they were all at less than 1/3 health. Now their life's healing up. It's a 4-man Baron. They're tanking the damage, passing it off very well. They're going to get this Baron, and that's so many team fights in a row that they've squeaked ahead of, but then taken a huge objective afterwards. Before it was towers, now it's Baron. This is potentially a stranglehold for World Elite.
So we've got a replay of that one with the player audio. Let's just see how crazy they get.
Chris. Oriana, Chris. Back out, all up. I'm all up. All up, first, all up. I'm running. Whatever.
Fuck, I was under the impression.
I got yeah, you jumped in and suicided.
I did, but...
Well, as you can see right there, Froggen really making the calls there. He wanted to get Weezhao, but they couldn't do it. They switched to Olaf, they couldn't do that. Switched to Maokai, couldn't do that. They just didn't have the damage left to really catch all that position.
One thing CLG does somewhat better than other teams is actually call targets in team fights, which oftentimes does very well. But with that, WE was able, when they got called as a target, they realized the focus and they would disengage, and it was allowing them to just all sit around fairly low. The focus overall wasn't quite able to close things out. A lot of that just happened to be all of CLG's crowd control was bursted right away. So later on in the fight, when they wanted to focus, it allowed WE to disengage those fights. And that was really close. CLG, their team fighting is some of the best in the world. And even though they are behind, that fight was razor close for them coming out ahead. Now with the Baron for WE, they have to be even better and catch WE even more by surprise.
Yeah, and of course that gold lead was extended. WE picking up the Dragon while we looked at that replay. You can see it's 8k gold difference now. WE definitely with a huge advantage. But, you know, those super minions, they've been pushing down that mid lane, but not really being used that much. And now the inhibitors respawned. You can see that, well, CLG would have had a good chunk of farm off that. Snoopy, you can see, looks like he's got 6 feasts on him there. He's very much at full level. There's 5 feasts, so he just needs 1 more. So he's going to be at full strength when we come around to this next team fight. However, that Baron, let's have a quick look how long that Baron's got left on them. If we can, it looks like it's got full 2 minutes on this one. So WE have a long stretch in this one.
WE really wants to take this inhibitor. There's not much CLG can do to stop them. They're afraid of the blitz pull. They're afraid of the zone. Fighting a team with the Baron and a huge gold advantage can be disastrous. That's the second time that inhibitor's fallen. CLG really needing to turtle. When the second inhibitor goes down, it becomes exponentially more difficult for them to hold off, especially these outer turrets. I'm guessing they're going to have to hold off this one. Otherwise, Blitz or Maokai could come around the back and really corner them into a team fight.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous situation for them, and really, Wicked needs the entire team grouped up, and this would not be a group situation. Blitzcrank really has been causing problems on FZZF since coming into this team. Definitely seems to have made things tick for them. Messiah also proven himself a problem, but really, the damage was done in the very start. Wicked lost his lane to Chow Mei.
And so much of this from WE has been from the 3 somewhat core members. The 2 new members are Clearlove and FCZF, and what they've really done is just deferred and enabled the solo laners and the AD carries to take over this game. You can even just look from the minion score how much of the farm is directly deferred to those giant carries. 288 for Messiah, 288 for WX, and it's just Graves versus Ezreal, Yellow Pete versus Weezhao, just farm-wise, is not even close right now. So much from CLG is just too many priority targets almost at this point, and they really have to pull something out of their hats here because it's a struggle to stay alive in this game.
Standing room only here at LA Live. It has been a fantastic tournament throughout the last 3 days, and really we have some absolutely amazing games coming up for you. Of course, it is going to be Taipei Assassins versus Moscow 5. That will be after this one concludes. It is a best of 3, of course, here in CLG.eu at the moment, looking in a dangerous situation. WE looking to take home this first game. This is the first outing that WE have had They sat here for the 3 days, sat very patiently, practiced heavily with IG, I believe. You know, that's the few times I've seen them practicing, it was with IG, their Chinese counterparts, and they've really prepared for this one. CLG, on the other hand, they said, look, it's like cramming for a last-minute exam. You can't learn anything from last-minute practice. You just need to know it beforehand. In which case, they felt comfortable coming into this game. They are looking like they may well go down in this one. How would they turn things around if they do?
A lot of this from WE is about that preparation. It was stopping Wicked from getting Aurelia. It was stopping Froggen from getting Anivia. CLG will have to change up their team comp a little bit in the next game, because if this happens and they do fall off, which could still happen differently, we know WE has what it takes to beat CLG, so they do have to switch it up.
So they're going to have to play something different. 36 minutes gone in this game still. A 10,000 goal difference. FZZF sat there with that ward, looking to maybe get a hook, start something off. CLG far too experienced to try and fall for those tricks.
This is that stall that CLG.eu is trying to pull off right here. If they can stretch it later and later, they will start catching up. Right now, they're back behind on gold and experience. When they're turtled like this, they're getting almost as much gold as WE. So percentage-wise, they will be catching up. And the experience, when everyone hits level 18, you'll get even. It's just a matter, that's going to be in many, many minutes. Froggen, the only level 18 member of CLG, whereas WE, 80 carry, and AP mid are both 18. Chow Mei very close behind at 17, so they're reaching their peak experience-wise. So we've seen it before. 70-minute games at CLG.eu can stall out. World Elite, seen those as well. They've done their research. They do have the inhibitor down. That's normally the sticking point that CLG turtles on. Now it's all about number 2. They've lost their Baron. How are they going to close this out?
How are they going to close it out? And if you watched actually the farming that was lanes, you could see that Snoopy was setting everything up, but it was Yellow Pete that was using it. And the shield there for Wei Zhao, they're just going to try and bait this one out. Wei Zhao just, FZZF stood at the side there, and Yellow Pete again returns to farm everything up here. He missed the CS on that one, that's a little shame. The turret took it, but they are just baiting out. They're going to steal away the blue buff, and they're just holding things down. Baron buff has now run off WE, so CLG quite happy to carry on stalling this one.
And Baron's coming up within the next minute, so you can see WE is just containing CLG in their base. They should be going back and getting a bunch of wards. You can look at FZZF. He has 7 wards in his inventory right now. He's just been back. They're going to do that sea of wards that they did last time, try to get an initiate hook. If they win another fight like they did the last one, which gave them Baron, that'll be the end of the game, because they'll just be able to push in and end from there. Very, very difficult for CLG to push in here. If they allow another Baron to go, they're probably going to lose an inhibitor off of that. But they almost have to. If they try to go into the jungle, there's a very good chance they're going to die.
Do they fight for that Baron? That's the question. They are starting to push out now. They've realized that the Baron is going to be up in 15 seconds. Dragon is now available as well, and they are starting to follow this creep wave out this time. So CLG starting to become the aggressor. If we could pan the camera up a little bit, you can see that FZZF is off on the distance, just waiting to try and get their hook in there. There is Clear Love up the side. He's just trying to get himself in some sort of position. He's got that Oracle on. He's definitely been working down, taking all those wards. He's just off at the side. Crepo's got to be careful. They've not been too fussed about who they actually catch there. Crepo tried to initiate that. It looks like CLG are ready for this fight.
CLG is actually trying to force a fight on their terms once again, because that's kind of what they've done all game, but they seem to think that if they do it right this time, they're going to be able to end it out. Really, they need to get onto Wei Zhao, because he's been
There's the stun.
There's the stun. They might be going in.
He just backs off from that one. It was FZZF he caught. Nobody really baited, bro. They've got the hook on Wicked, but he has managed to flash straight out of it. That means the flash and Ultima is not available now for Wicked, but he did not want to get involved in that one. That was not the fight, because they've managed to separate Chow Mei. They've gone for Wei Zhao. That's it they wanted. FZZF is going to drop instead. They do not know. He flashed away. The Ignite's running on him. They have managed to come round. Wei Zhao's taking down Crepo, looking across the side. Snoopy's going to get dropped as well. Wei Zhao takes him down as well. You can see now Messiah's going to close in the Calphas. Ultimate's not going to pick one up. Just FZZF, but WE come out on top. Messiah with the double kill. Wei Zhao with the double kill. And Yellow Pete, the only man surviving, just backing away. And the ping goes down on the Nexus for WE.
WE, such great execution in that fight. You thought that they had a window when Chow Mei got zoned out by CLG.eu and they all converged in the mid lane, but what happened is so many members went away to follow Messiah and they could not touch him. Such good play by everyone on WE. That team communication actually outclassing CLG.eu this game, and they're going right down for these inhibitors. They might not actually be able to take the Nexus here. They're very low. The death timers are up. Creepo's alive. They're going to try to just, I don't know how they're going to finish this yet.
Wei Zhao trying to turn out towards Yellow Pete there. Yellow Pete just trying to force him away as best he can. Crepo's going to come around as well, but the inhibitor has gone down, and once those two inhibitors goes down, it becomes incredibly difficult to come back from. Crepo's going to try and set these up for Yellow Pete. Yellow Pete farming out as quick as he can, just trying to defend those turrets, but that's one Nexus turret down. They didn't get the second, so they held them off for a little bit longer, sustained the loss, but well, CLG in a desperate situation as WE pick up the next Baron. That's surely the end of CLG.
Well, this is CLG's last-ditch effort. They are all very low, and they're going to be finishing this Baron, but they'll be at low health. So if CLG.eu gets another team fight, if they could somehow catch WE, they might be able to get this, and they're going to battle here.
They're going for it. They're going straight in. The Oriana ultimate destroys them. Wei Xiao with the collateral damage just obliterated the entire CLG. Chow Mei going very aggressive, but it doesn't matter. He's just trying to bait Froggen and Wicked into a fight here. FCZF's going to surely crap at a hook there. No! Froggen flashes across. That's an incredibly difficult flash to do as well. That's going to be the wall of pain going across, but he's just delaying the inevitable now. The Malphite ultimate, it's not going to be enough. Froggen's going to get dropped. He did just about get his distance going off there, but he's going to get dropped, and Wicked now just a fatal errors from CLG really have cost him in this one. He's trying to delay as much as possible. Yeah, they've realized it. Wei Xiao's going to get on towards that last final Nexus turret, and it looks like WE are going to take game 1 against CLG in this quarterfinals. Well, what a start to a game, and WE, you see what it means to them. They are so happy with that result, and well played them. They looked phenomenal.
The last team in China, the #1 seed, the first team to qualify here for the World Playoffs, coming out extremely strong. Their first game of the tournament on day 3, and that game, even though by the end of it, it looked like WE had the big advantage, was really close. All of those fights, everyone on WE got away with a sliver. If the slightest thing changed, CLG.eu could have came out on top in those early fights, and that could have potentially snowballed on the later ones. But with that, fantastic play by WE. Really, really strong opening.
You know, we talked about him at the start of the game. That bottom lane had to get going. That bottom lane, of course, was Wei Xiao versus Yellow Pete. 8-0-10 for Wei Xiao in that. Did not die and obliterated the lane and obliterated CLG.
And so many of those team fights, when they get low and people are sitting around, it is on the AD carry to do the cleanup. And since he had that even early lead from the lane, every single team fight, he was the one finishing things off. It would get started with the Oriana ult on normally a counter initiate, and then just WX, Wei Xiao, cleaning house.
Cleaning house indeed. So it seems that WE's changes have worked very well. They've only been together for a month. They have been practiced solidly. Definitely a different team that CLG faced in the OGN quarterfinals. We're going to get a replay of just that last fight that came up here. WE really showing their dominance, Jad.
And here in the last fight, you can see they already had the big advantage. Chow Mei, this is right before the last Baron. They're split up. They think they have a 3v5, but watch Messiah. He lands the ult on 3, and then they actually all chase. If you can pan the camera down to the left, 3 members are chasing Messiah, but he just takes them all out. He kills Froggen, flashes away from Wicked. They just can't finish him, and because 3 members were on Messiah, the rest of WE just cleaned up CLG.eu. It was a splitting of focus. CLG calls targets for a reason. They called out Messiah, but they couldn't get him out, and it just left the other members out to dry. That's why World Elite cleaned up that fight.
And of course, you heard the team audio earlier on from Froggen. You heard him calling Wei Xiao, Wei Xiao. They know they wanted him, but he just avoided that damage so very well on Graves.
So much of that is protection, and the supports for that team, they really had 2 of them that game. It was their jungler, Clearlove, and their support, FCZF. Blitzcrank and Maokai are so hard to get past. Blitzcrank can power fist you up, pull people away. Maokai, that ultimate to decrease damage, and also just roots and slows galore. They did a great job enabling the other 3 members, the Olaf, Messiah, as well as Wei Xiao, to just take over in those team fights, and they stopped CLG's priority targeting from working out.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the first game of the day. We have many, many more to come. This is the quarterfinals, of course. It is a best-of-3. WE 1-0 up against CLG. Did you expect that at home? Of course, leave your messages on Twitter, on Facebook, on Reddit, everywhere you like, really. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Just have these quick messages. It is going to be Game 2, CLG.eu versus Team WE.